you hate for it during the holidays, committee meeting last night. Because there was a vocal, I can't even call it minority, strong contingent of the committee that felt it was our obligation as sports media members or sports media adjacent members to work a Thanksgiving food rankings into the tiers.
Puns?
Not
so
puns.
against that yesterday.
Exactly right, Brew. Not puns, but like, hey, America's most trusted football ranking source should also do the thing everyone's doing this week.
Like morning radios?
Yes, exactly.
No.
Like, you know, Mike and the Jackal on KRXM. Yeah. I was adamantly against it and was overruled.
All right, well, let's see what we got.
I'm excited.
So first,
can't
let's just get to it. First, the eliminations. There are no new eliminations. The Cowboys were the latest elimination a couple weeks ago. Now, we were going to have the bottom of the tiers this week, don't really yet, be, you know, facing elimination. But again, instead, these teams are ranked according to Thanksgiving dishes.
Oh, here we go.
So bottom row, the Yams, the Bears. Just judge me on my best and I'm excellent. What a delicious bite. But if you really dig into it, it's not as, you know, doesn't have great lasting quality. Can't make a whole meal out of it. The Bears.
No staying power.
Next row, casseroles. A lot of hype and expectation, and with a few of these teams, kind of a nostalgia for a time past.
Yes.
Like, I think I like that, and then you're like, no. Ultimately, pretty underwhelming. Next row of teams, your mashed potatoes. Unspectacular but steady. No one's Super Bowl winner, but going to be involved in everyone's day, and by the way, going to be involved in the playoff scene. At least one, maybe two of these, maybe even three of these teams could be playoff teams again. Nothing to write home about, but it wouldn't be complete without them. Next, fancy cranberry sauce. Supposed to be great. You feel sophisticated and smart by saying you love them. I'm not pointing anybody out. But ultimately, it's disappointing.
Yeah.
Next row, canned cranberry sauce.
Oh.
It's what you actually want. Old school. Coaching, defense, the ridges on the can when you bite into it. Maybe you don't feel that sophisticated. Maybe you feel like, should I be using a plastic fork? It doesn't matter. It actually gets the job done. And they run the ball, they're well coached, actually good, as opposed to fake good. Next one, hated rivals. Pumpkin pie, sweet potato pie. Listen, rivals, yet kind of mirror images. Coach, the history of, you know, making the playoffs but not actually breaking through in the last decade. Questions if the quarterback's going to come through in the biggest spot. And it tells you a lot about a person by which of these two teams you actually believe in. Just like it tells you a lot about how someone grew up. Are you a pumpkin pie guy or a sweet potato pie guy? You actually learn a lot about them. Next, mac and cheese. Very few, if any, flaws. Gets the job done. High floor, low ceiling. It's gonna definitely be a part of your day. But with respect to Bruce's Super Bowl pick, probably not gonna be the star anywhere. Next year, the ham. Year after year shows up.
Great.
I mean, even when doubted, can turn its most vocal detractors into supporters. How many of your family members are like, I don't eat pork. Let me have a bite of that.
So
like, it's just true. And it's like, oh, this is the year they're not going to show up. And then all of a sudden, fresh out the oven, the ham. Next one. The stuffing, or dressing as some call it, often called the best. Certainly the highest upside of any part of the meal. Everyone's darling this time of year. But it can really go wrong if the wrong hands, most notably tiny hands, make it. Yeah, I'm just telling you. Like, it can be the best, but it can also be screwed up. Second highest tier, the gravy. A great, great part of the meal. Some say the best. Certainly gets the most hype year over year. Some say it's the most valuable. However, when you really think about it, its identity is actually its proximity to actual greatness. No one's like, I'm gonna go have a bowl of gravy, but it makes what is actually great even better, which is, of course, the #1 draft pick, yet constantly doubted and detracted, turkey. It's the undisputed GOAT. yet always maligned. Oh, it's too dry. Oh, the wishbone won't crack. Oh, it makes me sleepy. Shut up, it makes the whole thing exist. Much like the Chiefs.
Wow. You know what happens to turkeys on Thanksgiving? That's what happens to them. So it is. They are a turkey. You're right. Kansas City Chiefs are definitely a turkey. Real big. You're excited to eat them, but you know, it's not too good to be a turkey on Thanksgiving. So I think that's actually very, very fitting for them. Okay, listen. We obviously knew he was going to put the Chiefs to the top and all that type of stuff. Blah, 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 blah. There's not like there's like insanely glaring issues with this necessarily, although it just doesn't really make fundamental sense based on what he's been saying throughout the weeks now. He literally just said that he thinks that the Eagles are going to go to the Super Bowl, and yet then he has them below the Lions. Like that, like how does that make sense? I can't grasp that concept, quite frankly. We know the Ravens are low. He doesn't believe in the Ravens and doesn't believe in Lamar Jackson. Doesn't think Lamar Jackson can show up in big moments. And for those of you who maybe didn't also catch that about the Detroit Lions when he was talking about small hands, oh, you got small hands, you know, can't take it out of the oven or whatever. He's talking about Jared Goff. So yeah, I mean, kind of absurd, quite frankly. So all right, I made my other quick food related tiers. All right. So at the top, well, I'll start at the bottom first. And I didn't do all the teams. So, you know, I don't got the strength to do all these teams. But at my bottom, in terms of the bottom of my top teams, I'll say, I got dessert. All right. Any dessert you want, whatever you like. I don't really care about dessert as much. I care about the actual meal itself. Dessert is just, as they say, icing on the cake, you know, the cherry on top. And that's where I got the Broncos, the Commanders, and the Chargers. They are all overperforming teams right now. Their seasons, virtually no one really thought that they were going to be able to do what they've been able to do, and it's been wildly impressive. And I guess it all depends on how much you really care about the dessert or not, is where you will value or rank these teams. And then I got potatoes. Mashed potatoes, regular potatoes, whatever you want. I got them as the Vikings and the Packers. Man, I love potatoes. You can do anything with it. You got mashed potatoes, you got French fries, you got home fries. I mean, are you kidding me? I could literally eat an entire meal of just nothing but potatoes. That's to me who the Vikings and Packers are. People keep kind of underselling what they are. I think they are still top contenders in the NFL. And then I got the Ravens and the Steelers. They're my honey baked ham. If you ever had honey baked ham, it's like essentially ham that's just like doused in like honey and sugar and all of that. So it's really like, who are you gonna get? Are you gonna get kind of like some bootleg ham that like kind of tastes good, kind of has like that metallic taste on it? Or is it gonna be like, oh my God, what am I even eating? Is this candy? Is this dinner? Is this lunch? Like, what even is this? This is crazy. That's who the Ravens and Steelers can be, right? Like, you either are going to get this team that is just going to knock you out and be ferocious, or you're going to get a team that's going to be completely lackluster, and you're just like, what? How did you just drop that game? What even was that? That's to me who the Ravens and Steelers are. And then, like I said, the Chiefs are the turkey, man. Yeah, they are delicious. You can rely on them week after week after week. Man, give me a turkey sandwich with like lettuce, tomato, and cheese, cheddar cheese. Let's do it. A little bit of mayo, maybe some bacon. And my God, that's going to be one of my favorite meals of all time. I mean, truly, literally, that'll be, you know, easily one of my go-to meals. And I love it. But like I said, turkeys, they don't usually have the best of luck on Thanksgiving, man. It's usually not that good. And then I got the Lions, the Eagles, and the Bills. They are beef. Okay, people don't eat beef on Thanksgiving. I do, all right? I eat the beef because that is what it's all about. That's what men eat. The red meat, let's go. We're not worried about nothing. That's what builds muscle. That's actually beef. People don't realize this. Beef is actually the ultimate superfood. It is without a shadow of a doubt the healthiest food in existence. People think it's like spinach and broccoli. No, it's not. None of that nonsense. It's actually beef. It's the most nutrient-dense food in existence. If you were lost in the woods and you needed to survive, What would you be eating? What would you be desperately trying to find? It would be beef. You're not living off of, carrots and dirt out there, all right? It is beef. Let's go. That's the protein. It's got all the bioavailable nutrients, and that's who those teams are. When those teams are ready to go, when those teams are firing at all cylinders, they are the toughest team to beat in the NFL. How are you stopping Josh Allen? That guy is an absolute monster. The Detroit Lions, they are just stacked on stacked on stacked. Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell, that team is going to be ready to go. The Philadelphia Eagles, Saquon Barkley is just out of his mind right now. That offensive line just wears you down. That defense has stepped up. Kellen Moore is actually sticking with the game plan. A.J. Brown, Devontae, how are you going to stop it? That's why they are just, you ever see that, if you ever look it up, if you look at, it's like a cow that they genetically modified, and it's like jacked, like you could see it. It's just like literally just like shredded. It's one of the craziest things ever. It's something to do with like myostatin or I forget exactly what it is. But they do that, and that's to me who those three teams are right now. Just ferocious, ready to go. Come and see me. So that's what my tiers are. I don't know, man. At this point, trying to figure out where am I going to put the Rams and the Dolphins and the Bengals and the Colts. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem that important to me. Those teams keep winning and find themselves back, sure. But at that point, it's like, I don't know. This clip already ends up running so long, especially earlier on the season. This clip ends up being like a 30-minute clip. And so I'm trying to kind of expedite it, so to speak. Yeah, those are just my Thanksgiving themed rankings, quick and dirty. But let's see what the rest of the team has to say.
That is the committee's Thanksgiving tiers, Coach.
Nick,
Just excellent.
The committee, I'm glad they overruled you. Good job with the
Just
committee.
great.
That was by far the most entertaining series that I've been to.
Absolutely.
I was really into it.
I think it's missing crescent rolls. I don't know if that's something, but
Red. Good call, man.
I do, some kind of
Biscuits.
biscuit or something. I thought that was missing. But I'm gonna say you've missed the boat on the top there with the stuffing, the gravy, and the turkey. Detroit is obviously, and should obviously, be the turkey in this hierarchy. And I understand that this is a Kansas City-based tiers, and I understand that because Buffalo beat Kansas City, they have to be where they are, and then you're going to put Detroit in there just because, that's the only spot that they could fall based off of the bias. But let's look at it statistically. Okay, let's just take a look at these three teams statistically and see where they rank. And you can see that Detroit is better than Kansas City and Buffalo in every category, except Kansas City is a little bit better in opponent yards per game. Okay, but that's one element. Detroit's better than all three of those other categories. Okay, and then you're thinking, well, wait a second, they lost their best pass rusher, their best defensive player. They're not going to be able to overcome that. Take a look at what happened before and after Hutchinson, and it's pretty shocking. They're actually giving up 3 less points per game.
That's crazy.
That's significant. Yards per game, pass yards per game, and look at the pressure percentage. So they've figured out a way to compensate.
How'd that happen?
Actually shown
if that was
improvement.
Brock Purdy, we'd say, Hutchinson doesn't deserve a contract.
I know it's amazing, but sometimes when you have a great player and then you've got to compensate, you can get some positive things out of that collectively that maybe you're relying on one guy to do.
They also got a game against Mac Jones.
And Detroit's been doing that.
that helps.
And then finally, I know Nick will probably say, well, Kansas City and Buffalo have probably played a harder schedule. Well, that's not true either. When you look at strength of victory this season, the Lions have the best strengths of victory of all three of those teams. So in any objective criteria,
455 to 450.
Detroit is obviously the top of the tiers.
I would remind America that the last time Coach was here for tiers, he accused me of artificially inflating the Bills. I think this is back when he still thought the Jets might make a run at that division. I'm not sure. As a way to pump up the Chiefs. As opposed to,
you could be wrong. It's like choosing Chicago to win the Super Bowl. Like, you could be wrong.
As opposed to correctly identifying the Bills. He also said that the committee is based in Kansas City. which while accurate is
Biased.
misleading, but you said biased and based. The committee is based in Kansas City because the committee moves every year and spends its year in the home of the Super Bowl champion. That just happens to always be Kansas City. It's how you get a real feel for the league. Listen, I think the Lions are excellent. I think that those 4 teams that are on their own tiers right now, to me, are clearly the 4 best teams in the league. And I think you can make an argument for you probably can't make an argument right now for Philadelphia being the best, but for certainly any of the other 3, you can make an argument for them being the best. And I get that right now the Lions are the hot team and the team du jour.
This isn't some emotional reaction. I just gave you objective criteria. There's no emotion.
No, I get.
It's what's happened.
I understand that. Okay. I'm not saying that. Again, I think you can make an argument they're the best team in the league. I think that if they do make the Super Bowl and they're playing either of the 2 teams above them, I think either of those teams would be a significant favorite against Detroit.
Coach, call me crazy.
Good call.
I think games matter. I mean, we have teams play each other to find out who's better. Okay, and I get it. I get it. There are dumb losses. Nick calls them dumb ones. The Chiefs will have a dumb loss.
Yeah.
I get that. We'll throw those out. Raiders beating the Ravens. Dumb loss. We'll throw that out. Okay. Even close losses, 2 points, 3 points, heck, 7 or even 10, where a break here or there and the outcome is different.
Sure.
But 25 points? 25 points is hard to unsee. I can't unsee the fact that the Ravens took the Bills
you're doing
to
this
the
again?
woodshed. Yes,
You
I'm
do
doing
this
it again.
every week.
The Ravens,
He does it
because
every
it's a
week.
travesty. It says there right on the screen that the Bills are ahead of the Ravens. Not only did they smash them one-on-one, head-to-head, they have the better quarterback. Yes, I'm taking Lamar over Josh Allen. They have the best running back, obviously, of the 2 teams. Buffalo, coach did the strength of victory. They're 2-2 against teams that would be in the playoffs now. The Ravens are 4-2 against teams that would be in the playoffs.
Against teams that wouldn't be in the playoffs right now?
I don't know, but that's 4-2 against teams that would be in the playoffs.
Also 4-2.
That's what I measured about when you played against, because you can have a dumb one, and they've had a couple dumb ones, all right? But when they had to play the Bills head-to-head, they smashed them. And the defense, which has been the biggest concern about the Ravens, is starting to find its footing. They faced 2 playoff teams the last 2 weeks, held them to 20 points a game, giving up 2 touchdowns, Coach, in the last 2 weeks. The Ravens defense is starting to come along. They should be ahead of the Bills. I thought it wasn't the standing.
It's not the standing.
I thought it wasn't the standing.
I didn't know.
Because that's the only argument you got. Because they smashed them when they played head-to-head.
It's not the only argument I've got. But you're using the last 2 weeks as evidence that this team is surging when they lost one of those games.
Better.
So let me ask you this. If the Ravens lose this week to Philly and Buffalo,
which you don't think they will, but you have Philly.
No, I'm asking you a question. If they lose this week to Philly and Buffalo wins, at that point, and Buffalo is 10-2 and Baltimore is 8-5. At that point, would you be okay with Buffalo being ahead of Baltimore?
No.
Okay, well then,
because if I want the records, the standings, I can go pick up one loss. The USA Today.
No, but
I can go pick up the USA Today.
No, so it's some
5 losses. You can still end up 12-5.
Then it's just head-to-head.
No.
So let's put the Raiders up there. No,
the Bills will beat an injury-depleted Niners team, and the Ravens could lose to one of the teams that might be the best team in the league. Just because the Bills beat Kansas City, which they've done in the past, who else have they beaten? That's because they lost to Houston, a Houston team that's struggling. They got smashed by a Baltimore team that to you is kind of struggling.
Yeah, I thought they played.
What makes the Bills so good?
The Bills were not the same team before they got Amari Cooper. They did play poorly against Baltimore, but there is also a flaw in your logic of teams. Listen, teams have a dumb one. And you kept saying a dumb one, and then explained how Baltimore
Cleveland, that's a division game. That's a tough game.
That's not a tough game.
It is a tough game.
Okay, is Cleveland one of the worst teams in football?
No.
No.
I mean, depending on how low you go, they're not Carolina. They're not the Raiders.
Hold on. They have the same amount of wins as Carolina.
Man.
What do you mean? You just said they're not the Raiders. What is the
They
Raiders?
got a good defense.
Right, which the Ravens don't. And you are arguing for them
these
to
last 2 weeks,
Okay.
I'm starting to think.
All right, at this point,
Rounding into
at
form.
this point,
I guess we can
the
start
Ravens-
calling it the standing.
No, because it's not.
Because that's the only argument you
No,
have.
this deep into the year, record does matter to a degree.
What
certainly.
games have the Bills looked great in?
They looked great against Kansas City 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
the
outside of
same
that.
week that the Ravens lost to Russell Wilson and the Steelers.
Steelers are a good team.
Okay, right, which is why they're on right next
The
to another
Bills
good.
beat the Chiefs. That's why they're number 2.
No, is that
That's it.
okay?
Yeah, I mean,
all right.
Detroit's 10-1.
Yeah, right.
Kansas
But they haven't
City's
beaten the
10-1.
Chiefs.
They
Right.
Okay, you guys, if we're gonna, the fact that you feel that even if the Ravens fall to 8-5, they are definitively better than Buffalo because they beat Buffalo in
By
week
25
5.
points.
Yeah, that happened. That was a month and a half ago.
This was a game both teams took seriously. Both teams had circled on the schedule when they saw the schedule
Right.
come out, and they smashed them.
So Tampa should be ahead of Detroit.
They didn't smash Detroit.
No, they beat Detroit.
They beat
They
Detroit.
beat. Okay.
You can beat, like I said, a close game, relatively close, is different.
Okay. Go ahead,
Got
Watts.
heated.
Here's the thing about shrimp cocktail. Underrated. It's there. No one really thinks about it. It's not even in your rankings. But I think head-to-head, be careful. Head-to-head, a shrimp cocktail could get you. Shrimp cocktail's not afraid of any team here. It's like, ooh, I want to go up against him. The Dolphins are a shrimp cocktail. And that's not just because they're both marine-based. The offense. Since Tua returned, so you got to throw out the Skylar Thompson game.
Yeah.
Since Tua came back week 8, this offense is starting to cook again. Is Tua playing at his best? Last year he led the league in passing yards, but look how good Tua's playing. I was shocked by this graphic. Best completion percentage, touchdown interception ratio is great, passer rating is great, yards is third because obviously last year was airing out a little bit more. How about the defense? Defense, pretty good. Again, they're my Super Bowl pick, but the shrimp cocktail of the tiers here, better than you think. And I think once you think about like, ooh, I actually really do like that, and no one ever thinks about them. They're kind of on the outside looking in.
All right. I mean, I love shrimp. I don't know who's on the outside looking in. I actually, growing up, I used to go to this like all-you-can-eat buffet for Thanksgiving for whatever reason. That's what my family would do, and I would fill my plate with an obnoxious amount of shrimp. So man, I love shrimp. They are not understated. Maybe at like home meals and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm kind of like a wait and see on the Dolphins. I don't know if they can claw out of the mess that they got themselves into because of injuries and stuff like that. I'm kind of just like a wait and see. I mean, I think it's awesome and amazing what the Miami Dolphins are doing and what Tua is doing. I'm very happy. I mean, people were saying he needs to retire, and now he's coming back and playing, literally his career best. So I think the story itself is awesome, and definitely rooting for him as a person. I just don't know. I mean, they would really have to just rip off win after win after win after win after win. I don't know if they could. I mean, can they even afford to lose another game at this point? And you have to really look at the standings, where they would really need the Chargers and the Broncos to kind of begin to collapse, which, I don't know, maybe it's possible. So I'm kind of like a wait and see type of situation with the Dolphins more than anything. But yeah, I mean, obviously, Brew, I'm like so tempted. I might just cut that clip and react to it separately because I got so heated back and forth, and this clip's already 24 minutes deep right now. But in terms of Brew with the Ravens and the Bills and all of that, so I'll probably just do that, especially because since it's Thanksgiving week right now and things are kind of crazy, not a lot of people are even watching these videos to begin with. So I'm not sure if people are going to be really watching a lot of videos on Friday and Saturday, but I still plan on the goal is to record a ton of videos and just be like, hey, if you are around, by all means, let's have some fun. So I'll probably just do that separately before I react to it too deeply. But yeah, no, those are my thoughts on the rankings, on the tiers, whatever the heck it is. Thanksgiving, not Thanksgiving, who's the best, who's the worst, what do you like? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.